Hey everybody, it's me, Andy,
And I'm Sean.
and this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Karthus, Tyrant of Jund.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching us here on YouTube. It's the Commander's Brew, and if you like what you're seeing, you can help us out by just hitting subscribe down below or leaving a comment if you like. If you want to get more involved and directly more involved, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/commandersbrew, and you can help donate there and actually help make the show, both figuratively and literally, because if you go there and you become a patron, you can become a member of our Discord and actually help us brew these decks. And you'll see today we had a lot of help in our Discord making this one up, and this was a lot of fun. So yeah, check us out, patreon.com/commandersbrew. But now we're going to get into the main deck tech for this week. Yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's get into our deck tech here. This one is I'll admit, quite ambitious. Quite an ambitious deck with quite a plan. But it's fun, and it's a lot of fun to get there, which is, it's all about the journey, as we all know. And I'll tell you a bit about the journey. So the first thing that inspired this deck was I noticed. Actually, your idea for a deck made me think of Double Masters.
Yep.
And Double Masters just dropped, and with a ton of great reprints in it. And as you know, when these really expensive sets come out, and us budget players are around here, and we're saying there's no way I'm paying like whatever it is, $16 a pack or something. I'm not paying that for a pack of Magic cards. No matter how many alternate art possible foils there could be, I don't care. I'll just wait around and scoop up all these reprints at their newer, lower price, which is exactly what this week's Commander is all about. So one of the ones that jumped out at me, because I know from previous episodes, whenever this card pops up, I'm always like, ooh, too expensive. But it's Karthus, Tyrant of Jund. This is a card that, used to be like pretty expensive, I think. Like maybe even as high as like $20 or something.
Yeah.
And now it's dropped down to like $4 or $5. So we can snap this up now and actually play with it, which is great. So Karthus is a Jund. As you may have guessed, is a Jund commander. 4 black, red, green. And it's a legendary dragon, 7/7, with flying and haste. So already, like, this is a beast of a commander. Like, you're looking at, Elder Dragon territory here with the 7/7 and the haste and everything. Like, this is like
7 times 3 is 21.
Exactly. So, but it has some abilities too. When Karthus enters the battlefield, you gain control of all dragons and then untap all dragons. And then other dragon creatures you control have haste. So right away, this screams Dragon Tribal, obviously. You want to have a bunch of dragons, and then you can, they all get haste. And then, I don't know, even untapping them is cool. But the thing that always, sort of jumped out at me about Karthus is this whole, gain control of all dragons and then untap all dragons, which is a very cool ability, but, how often is it going to be that your opponents are running a bunch of dragons? Like, yes, there's the possibility of just straight up your opponent has a dragon deck. Of course, lots of those exist, but really the odds are pretty low that in the game you choose to play Karthus, someone accidentally also chooses to play dragons, Especially if you're, like our meta, we're not secret about our commanders that we're playing. We'll just be like, hey, I'm playing this one, So if I saw someone bring in their Karthus deck, I wouldn't be like, okay, I'm going to play my Dragon Tribal deck against it. You know what I mean? I'll just grab another one for that game because I'm going to get crushed by your commanders. And it's not even going to be fun for me. And I bet you the Karthus player is like, yeah, don't worry. I understand. Because obviously the Karthus deck is going to be built to take advantage of its own stuff mostly. And you're not just hoping that your opponents are playing dragons. So this was it's a strange ability, and obviously it wasn't built with commander in mind, so whatever, but as a commander, it's such a weird ability to have. So how do you build around it? Well, there are Karthus decks out there. There's your Jund Karthus decks. But I wanted to use this ability in a weird way. I wanted to steal all my opponent's creatures with Karthus, and no matter what they were, right? So
that's what we want to do.
This is what I want to do. I want to make all of your stuffed dragons and then take them. And then take everything.
Yes.
So yeah, let's basically let's do that. So what I wanted to, when I need to do this, first of all, I needed blue, and blue's not in
Yeah.
Karthus. And then actually, as like my own idea for the deck grew, and then actually was like solidified when I went into the Discord and we talked about it there. White was obviously needed as well. So it's like we haven't done one of these in a while, I don't think, but I think we're gonna do a secret Karthus, a five
Ooh,
color secret Karthus deck.
I love it.
So strap in. That's what we're doing. And so who are we running as our commander? I actually forgot to put this in the notes, John. So I'm just gonna pull it up
Okay.
here. There's a couple of good options, really good options, and I had an idea going in. Discord put out some other ideas, and I think they were very good ideas, like really strong. But I decided to stick with my original for a few reasons. The one I had is Golos. Golos
Uh-huh.
Tireless Pilgrim. 5 generic for the 3/5 legendary artifact creature scout. When it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for a land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library, any land, so that's nice. And then it has the
Really
ability,
helps with that fixing.
absolutely. And then it has the ability of 2 and then Wooburg, so 7 in total, to exile the top 3 cards of your library. You can play them this turn without paying their mana costs. Obviously, that's a great ability, and yeah, it's really good. But this is here to get us a land when we need it, right? Because by turn 5, hopefully we have a few lands. Maybe we had a ramp spell. We're able to fix a little bit. And Golos is there to get us possibly that last one we need, hopefully.
Yeah.
Golos serves some other purposes, though. Golos throws off, in a big way, what we're doing. You put down Golos, people are going to think like, okay, like it's 5 color, like whatever, anything. You're going to be spitting Golos all the time and getting these big abilities, and your opponents are going to be really confused when the first time you hit 7 mana and you don't use the Golos because you're not going to that often. You can, and it's still fine, but you actually have other stuff to do. So the other options were like Scion of the Ur-Dragon, which is
Oh
really
yeah.
good.
That's easy.
We can go get Karthus this way and put him in your graveyard. And then we can get him out of the graveyard, but which I can't remember who suggested it. It's so much stuff from the Discord, actually. Yeah. Anyways, that to me was like, okay, they're gonna expect dragons, so they're gonna know to deal with Scion, all this stuff. Anyways, they can exile your graveyard, blah blah blah. So I didn't want them to be doing that, and I thought then I have to include this whole reanimator package, which like in addition to all like these other things I have going on, and there's a lot going on in this deck already. So I thought it was better to keep it out and instead just kind of lean on just good old tutors, card draw, get the stuff we need that way. So there's another one where it was like as you'll see, we changed creature types a lot in this deck, and what's the elemental that you did the other day? Like a couple weeks ago, you did the 5
Oh,
color deck with the element.
yes. I've already forgotten.
Yeah. Anyways, the 5 color elemental that like lets you cast elementals from your graveyard actually is
Right.
not bad as a commander here. This was another great suggestion. But yeah, we stuck with Golos, and I think Golos is the overall best choice to get us to that 5 colors, and then I mean, Golos digs us 3 deep, but we get to cast everything we do with it. So it's not bad. Horde of
Horde of
Notions.
Notions.
Ah, yes, we both. I remembered it. You looked it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're using Golos. We're going 5 colors. We got Karthus in the deck. Let's set the scene here, and talk about what we need to start to make this deck happen, right? What do we need to set up here? So, Sean, why don't you talk about these first 2 cards here? Simple.
Commander Staples, Ghostly Prison, 2 and a white for an enchantment. Creatures can't attack you unless their owner pays a tax of 2 for each creature that wants to attack you. And Propaganda, same deal, except it's 2 and a blue instead of 2 and a white. Although, is there a subtle difference between planeswalkers? No, it's always
No.
you.
Yeah, it's the same.
Some of these effects say you or a planeswalker you control. These ones notably don't, so I don't know if you run any planeswalkers, but these
No.
do not stop creatures from attacking your planeswalkers.
These are commander staples, like you said. Nothing new here, nothing fancy here. But this deck does take a long time to set up, and it's actually kind of a good thing because it allows our opponents to get their stuff out. And you actually, if I were to take a second like pass at this deck, I would actually include a few more things that help our opponents like draw cards and do stuff like that. I've got a little bit of it in here, but I actually might up it a bit. So yeah, Ghostly Prison, Propaganda, just stuff to get down there and then slow our opponents down a little bit if we have any aggro stuff out there. I mentioned tutors. We're going to need a couple of those. Diabolic is the 2 and 2 and 2 black. Search your library for a card, put in your hand, shuffle your library. Classic. We also have Demonic Collusion, which is 3 and 2 black, and has buyback of discard 2 cards. This is actually relevant because, like I said, this deck needs a lot of setup. We're looking to do something pretty wild here, and we'll reveal that when we get to the neat moves. But so actually, tutoring for something and buying it back by discarding 2 cards might be well worth it. Yeah, and it just says this. It's the same thing. It just search for a card, put it in your hand. And then we also have Dark Petition, just because it's a nice, efficient one where it's 3 and 2 black, same as the other one, but it has Spell Mastery, and if there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, you also add 3 black to your mana pool. So it actually kind of only costs 2 if you can cast something else with that 3 mana that you get back from the petition. And there's a lot of times where late game you'll draw one of your tutors, and if it's Dark Petition, you might actually be able to cast the next thing with the leftover mana you have. So it's pretty sweet. This is what we're going to need. We're going to need to slow them down. We're going to need to go get the cards. Another way of kind of slowing them down, which actually speeds up the attack on your opponents, which is actually like not just slowing them down from hitting you, but speeding it up, is the new Impetus cards. I love these guys. Sean, what do you read these to?
They're great. So the blue one is Psychic Impetus, 2 and a blue for an aura. It enchants a creature. The enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. And whenever the enchanted creature attacks, you scry 2. You being the owner of the enchantment, which is me. This creature's goaded, so they have to attack somebody, but they won't be attacking me unless it's just a 2, like 1-on-1 at the end of the game, in which case, fine. I'm getting a scry on their turn. That's great.
Scry 2? That's
Scry
pretty
2.
nice.
Yeah.
That's going to help us dig for the stuff we want in our deck.
And Shiny Impetus, the red one, 2 and a red, enchants a creature, +2/+2 goaded. This time, whenever the creature attacks, you create a treasure token. This is a fantastic card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really great. This is going to help us fix, like, on turn 3, this is ramp. Like, if you put it on the person to your left, and they just immediately go, you immediately get a treasure token back. Like, that's pretty sweet.
I think this is this card at 19 cents, less than a gumball, is very underpriced right now. It's a commander card.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and it's especially if you can get it on something that isn't going to be blocked or it's difficult to, or something like that, because obviously if they just block it and it dies, you just got the 1 treasure out of it, which if it's a creature you wanted dead, amazing. But if it's a creature that you just wanted to, you're not going to get a ton of treasure from this, basically. But
No.
but it's good though. I actually managed to run a few games against really stupid AI, but actually it was pretty great. Okay, so the Impetus cards are, like you said, maybe a little underpriced right now. So that's how we're going to, hopefully we can set the battlefield up to this way where we're not dying right away, right? Because we got a lot of work to do, including ramping. So when we're talking about eating our veggies in this deck, we got to eat a lot of them because we're running a 5-color deck and we're trying to do it on a budget. And as you know, that is quite difficult. So land-wise, what I did was pretty simple. It's a little more of an expensive land package than we normally put together here on Commander's Brew, but only because I ran all of the 3-color lands, the old ones, not the new cycling ones. Those are expensive,
Right?
Because the old ones are still like not, they're not like basic land price. They're not Guildgate price. They're still probably between 50 cents to $1, depending on the ones you're talking about, I think.
Yeah.
But I did run all of them, and I really do think it is worth it. When you get them in your hand, you play like a turn behind, but the 3-color fixing is just so good. And then, you run all your other stuff. And I think from there out, you can run a couple of, you run your gates or gain lands. Gates are good because we can run the cards that go get gates for us for ramping. Those are really nice. But other than that, it's just kind of dual lands and then a bunch of basics because we got our Terramorphic Expanses and stuff like that. And every game I played, I found it wasn't a problem. The all 10 3-color or whatever it is it 10? Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
10
yes.
3-color lands were great. They were really, really good. So that was the key for me, and it was really helpful. But of course, we do need to get fixing other ways. We're not going to draw a perfect land every time. So Joiner Adept, we've talked about this card before in the show. I'm surprised that it is this cheap because the enchantment version of this card is really expensive. But Joiner Adept is 1 and a green for 2/1 Elf Druid. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. It's just all your lands are now 5-color lands, so pretty sweet. Yeah. To sort of jump on the back of that, we also have Chromatic Lantern. 3 generic for the artifact that says lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and this also taps for 1 of any color. Spoiler alert, this is the most expensive card in the deck.
It got back up there, didn't it?
Sure did. Did you buy one when we said? I hope you did.
I hope so.
Or a couple, maybe. And then we have another great 5-color fixing card, Wayfarer's Bauble. Single colorless mana for the artifact that says pay 2 and tap. Search your library for a basic land card, put it in your battlefield, tap, shuffle. So it's a rampant growth, after you cast it in installments, which is a lot better than just a 3 mana card that does this. It's all colorless, so it's really great. And I mean, we know this. We saw this card go up in price and kind of hopefully now come back down because it did get reprinted again. So hopefully they'll just keep reprinting this because it's just a great color fixer for our format.
True.
Now we talked about in the Scion version of this deck, which exists and is probably pretty solid. Getting some reanimation going. So we gotta protect our commander. Once we get Karthus out there, the whole thing can fall apart if we can't ever get it out of our graveyard if it dies or if someone exiles it or something like that. So Sean, why don't you take a look at this protection package we have?
Well, protection package comes in the form of Kaya's Ghost form. Love this card. It's a single black enchanted creature or planeswalker you control. And when the enchanted permanent dies or is put into exile, that's so key with this card. If anything happens to it, it's coming back to the battlefield under your control. Amazing.
Yeah. This was Guy. Guy mentioned this one. And this is a card that you used, I think, in the last episode or the one before that. But yeah, it's a single mana.
It's so cheap.
And
What's it going for now?
Sometimes people don't even want to do it. Like, they don't want to kill the thing just because it's like, well, all I'm doing is removing this aura. And you get the enter the battlefield ability again.
Right.
So they're like, well, is it even worth using my removal on this? Like, especially if I'm not attacking you, it's like, well, I'm not even going to spend my removal on this.
Yeah. It's a great card.
Yeah.
You get
really
so
good.
much from it. We're also going to run the Mythos of Brokos. I like these Mythos cards. 2 green for a sorcery, but if you also pay, if the 2 generic actually was blue-black, so it becomes a Sultai spell. So anyway, you're going to pay 4, you're going to search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, and then shuffle your library. But if you paid that Sultai tax, if you paid the specific 4 mana to do it, you can return 2 permanents from your graveyard to your hand.
No, it's the other way around. It's the other way around. So the regular spell is just return up to 2 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. But if you paid blue-black, as part of the 2, you get to go find 2 cards, put them in your graveyard, and then do that. Or a card. You get to put 1 card specifically. So basically, if you pay the Sultai version, you get to tutor a card to your hand and return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand.
That's pure upside from Diabolic Tutor.
It's perfect, right? It's great.
Yeah.
Just the only tough part is the mana, right? But even if we're only casting this for 2 green and we're getting 2 things from our graveyard, that's pretty solid. Especially if the thing we're trying to get back is our commander. We'll happily spend a card to do that and grab another great permanent, like for example Kaya's Ghost form. That's a killer. Imagine someone gets your Karthus with Kaya's Ghost form. And like, okay, fine, you get it to come back, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna use another kill spell, or maybe someone else is like, okay, now I'll use my kill spell, and then you're like, okay, no problem, Mythos of Brokos, bam, bam, get them both back, get out. So this is a really good carding commander. I think this is really good. Like, it lets you tutor and return something.
I think the blue, the Jeskai one is also great. The Jeskai one, no. The
Yeah.
teamer one. The teamer one is the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay. Which one is
Yeah.
that? What does that
The
do?
one that copies anything,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I also
clone
thought that.
anything.
Right. The Jeskai one is the red one, right?
Yeah, do 5
Yes.
damage.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. It's the teamer one.
Uh, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Animate Dead. Animate Dead is
Yes.
the classic aura with a textbook of rules text because they
'Cause-
didn't. They just invented a card and they're like, how should this work? But basically, you enchant something from a graveyard. It comes back to the battlefield on your side with a -1/-0 counter. But if anyone kills the creature or the enchantment, the whole thing that like they're gone. They go back to the graveyard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is kind of left in from when we were thinking of making this a Scion deck, but I liked it because it is so cheap that even if it's one of our other spells or one of our other creatures in the deck, I'm happy to animate dead something. It's just going to be good no matter what. So yeah, nice efficient spell, love it. So that's we've set the scene. That's what we want to do to the battlefield. We got our veggies, we got our protection, we got our ramp, we got our draw, and all that stuff. Now, finally, let's take a look at the neat moves.
Working on a
Neat.
That's right. Okay, so for the first neat move, this is really the heart of the deck, and I gotta give credit again to Discord because I had the idea of what I wanted to do in this deck, and then they just took the idea and turned it up to 11. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm not even going to tell you what my idea was. You'll see what it is, but their version is just crazy. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to get spells like Zedrew, the Great-Hearted, which is 1 red, white, blue. It's a Jeskai spell.
Okay.
It's the 2/4 monk. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of permanents you own that your opponents control, and then pay red, white, blue. Target opponent gains control of target permanent you control. So you're giving away stuff and you're drawing cards as a result and all that. Also, we can run Harmless Offering, which is 2 and a red, and it just gives something. It's like donate. We're going to run those types of spells. And then we're going to run also things like Conspiracy, 3 black, black. As Conspiracy comes into play, choose a creature type. Creature cards you own that aren't in play, creature spells you control, and creatures you control are the chosen type. So Conspiracy is the best version of it. There's 2 other cards. We have Xenographed, which is 4 and a blue, that says as it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Each creature you control is the chosen type. And Arcane Adaptation, 2 and a blue, same thing. As it enters, you choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So Arcane Adaptation just adds it to everything. Conspiracy makes it everything. And Xenographed only makes it for what it is, but only the stuff you control.
Okay.
They're all, for the purposes of this deck, they are basically all the same. But what we're going to do is we're going to give these spells, these enchantments, whether it's Arcane Adaptation, Xenographed, or Conspiracy, we're going to give these to our opponents after we've named dragons. And we're going to turn all of their stuff into dragons. And then we're going to cast, or I think what is more likely, actually, is to blink Karthus, because Karthus costs 7. So it's not like we're going to be able to be like, haha, 5 mana for Conspiracy and 7 mana for Karthus. Like, it's
Right.
much more likely that we've already cast Karthus and then we pull this off. This is a wild plan. And as I kind of realized in the middle of brewing this deck and coming up with this idea, it's like, this is a lot. Like, this is a lot of hoops to jump through to basically just have like a mind control, or a control magics. Like, those are spells that just exist that you can just run. You can just make a deck that is this already if you want. But I think I'm right in assuming and kind of expecting that I think those spells create a lot of anger. People don't like having their stuff stolen. They'll come after you. They'll come for you so hard, right? Well, the way that this works is that I think people will be very impressed that you managed to if you do this, that you managed to pull it off. I truly think that. They'll be more impressed than they will be angry. So it's not the same. And also, if you do this, there's a good chance that you just kill them anyways when that happens, because depending on how big their creatures are, for sure. But, if you steal a whole person's board of like 5 or 6 creatures or something, and maybe you even have 1 or 2, you've got Karthus and you've got one of the other dragons in our deck, you probably have them, to be honest. So they don't get enough time to be mad about it, hopefully, is the plan here. Again, I don't know if that's how it's actually going to work out, but I think people are going to be impressed with the hoops that we have to jump through. So that's one way to do it. There's another kind of side version of it. So Sean, I want you to read these next 2 cards because these do similar things.
Never heard of these.
This is the version I actually managed to pull off in when I was playing in my test deck. Is this first one?
So these are the Lorwyn tribal spells. They are shapeshifter spells. For a single white mana, Shields of Velis Vel, Changeling. This card is every creature type at all times. Creatures target player controls get +0/+1 and gain all creature types until end of turn. We can pick our opponent, and one opponent's creatures become dragons they become everything, including dragons, until end of turn. And then Blades of Velis Vel, 1 in a red, similar idea. Up to 2 target creatures get +2/+0 and gain all creature types until end of turn. Neat.
Not bad, right? Like the white one is incredible. Like this is even better than our plan with the conspiracy and stuff.
This is a neat move.
This is a very neat move. Hit him, like pay 1 white. I did have a game where I had 8 mana. I paid 1 white to turn all of my opponent's creatures into everything. And then I played Karthus, and then bam, I got them all. And then I just swung and killed them. Like this can come out of nowhere. Absolutely. Like even people who know that you have Karthus, like, which they probably won't because it's a 5-color Golos deck. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
And in a pinch, Blades of Velisvel isn't bad. So we have some other versions that do similar things. First is Unnatural Selection, which is 1 in a blue for an enchantment, and it says pay 1 generic. Or is it colorless? Yeah, it is generic. Choose a creature type other than wall. Target creature's type becomes that type until end of turn. So this one you have to do individually once you have this guy down, but that's not too bad because if someone only has 3 or 4 creatures, it's not out of the question for that to work. Artificial Evolution is good if there's one particular creature you want because it's single blue for an instant that says change the text of target spell or permanent by replacing all instances of one creature type with another. The new creature type can't be legend or wall.
Ooh.
This has some other applications in you changing like what a spell says. It can even change it on the stack.
Change Karthus.
You can you can change what Karthus says and what he takes. So if you're playing against a zombie deck, you don't have anything except for this. Change what Karthus says. Change what he says. Zombies or something like that. So yeah, there's other applications for this one. This is a cool one, and I did include a couple other ones like this. But this is what I'm talking about the second pass. I actually think I would take out a few of these because I'm not sure, because there's a couple single use ones that I don't think are as quite as useful as Artificial Evolution is, for example. And yeah, you can beef up some other parts of the deck, but generally speaking, I mean, it's really fun to just do this kind of out of nowhere and steal a bunch of your opponent's stuff. So really, really neat stuff. So as I mentioned, we're going to be looking at doing some blinking because Karthus costs so much. You're better off to probably cast Karthus. Hopefully you've got some sort of protection ready just in case it goes awry. But then you'll be able to on the next turn cast one of these spells, do one of these tricks, and then just blink them with
Momentary Blink.
Yeah.
Classic 1 in a white instant, exile creature you control, then return it. It also flashes back for 3 in a blue. We're looking at Acrobatic Maneuver, 2 in white, another instant. It costs 1 more, but this time you draw a card with it. Doesn't have flashback, also great. Silumgar's Command, 3 blue, black for an instant, and you choose 2 out of these 4. Counter target non-creature spell. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. We're interested in that one. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Destroy target planeswalker. Very versatile.
Exactly, super versatile. Like if you're not blinking, at least Silumgar's command gives you the possibility of returning a permanent, probably Karthus or something like that. So, but this also works to. I mean, I don't know how often this would ever happen, but it also works to like steal everything with the conspiracy, and then get the conspiracy back, and maybe
Ooh.
use it on someone else. I think that's a pretty slim possibility because I think once you have all of one person's creatures, that's probably enough to then not only kill them but probably kill the other people. Maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, it's versatile in that way. Also, I mean, countering a non-creature spell like negate is one of my most included commander cards. I think actually every blue deck I have runs a negate. So I think that this card is worth it just for that even. There's also some key, just quickly, a few key like actual dragon cards that are just really good with Karthus set. Why not run them? Death by Dragons, 4 red for the sorcery. Each player other than target player creates a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. So you just give one to everyone, including yourself, and then you just take them all with Karthus the next turn. Descent of the Dragons is also a really good one. 4 red. Destroy any number of target creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller puts a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So you can get a lot of dragons this way. If you descend to the Dragons and then get Karthus out or blink Karthus. Oof.
Wow.
Yeah, it gets ugly. Because remember, Karthus gives them all haste too. So if you and untaps them, like it's wild. So you wipe their whole board, any number, and then like do this and then momentary blank Karthus. You just get them all.
As a sidebar, speaking of reprints that got cheaper because of Double Masters, I think Double Masters, maybe it was Jumpstart. Anyway, I want to cast Descent of the Dragons while I have Containment Priest. Is it Containment Priest? Which is the one?
Yes.
No, maybe so you'll just get them.
That's them. Oh no! Wait, no, that's not the one where we get them. Crafty Cut Purse, we get them.
Crafty Cupboards, that's the one I meant.
That one's just around. I don't even think that got reprinted. Containment Priest got reprinted in M20 and Core Set 20.
Right, but it does not get non-token. It doesn't get tokens. Containment Priest doesn't get tokens.
Yeah, Cut Purse with this. That's a nice little combo though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are just some cool things with Karthus, and then finally, if our plan isn't going exactly the way we want, we still have some other stuff to do in the deck. But even if it is, though, these cards even add that much more. It's a couple of the Fate Reforged dragons. Sean, why don't you take these two?
Yeah, so we got Ojutai, Soul of Winter, 7 mana with the Azorius colors, 5 white blue, Legendary Dragon, 5/6 Flying Vigilance. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, tap target non-land permanent an opponent controls. That permanent doesn't untap during its next controller's untap step. Great to get whatever blockers remain out of the way. Silumgar the Drifting Death, 4 blue, black, flying and hexproof. Whenever 3/7 to start. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, creatures defending player controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Those two together will ensure, with a few dragons attacking, that there's nothing that can block your flying assault.
Yeah, exactly. And like, don't forget, like we would also hold on to one of our like arcane adaptation spells, so that way when we get them, they still are dragons. When we get all the creatures, so we'll need to do that. But like I said, even if it's just Karthus, Silumgar, and one other dragon, like for example, we also have Lathless, 4 red. She's the 6/6 legendary dragon, flying. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 dragon token, and then dragons you control get +1/+0 until end of turn if you pay 1 in a red. So she has like fire breathing for all dragons. Lathless is great with the blinking. Like even if we're blinking any of the dragons we have, not just Karthus even, Lathless becomes really good there. The other one is Scale Lord Reckoner, which was one of our first. We had 2 preview cards as our first previews, and Scale Lord Reckoner is one of them. Master Chief here, 3 white for the 4/4 dragon with flying. Whenever a dragon you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, destroy target non-land permanent that player controls. So this is tough. It's tough for your opponents to deal with anything with the Reckoner out. Another bit of protection there. So we've got some stuff going. Even if the main plan doesn't happen, we still got some nice big creatures here. We still got Golos to maybe even lean on a bit if things get really rough. But overall, there's a lot of work, and it's fairly convoluted. You do need to tutor for a couple things. You're going to want to tutor for Karthus first and foremost. Then you're definitely going to want to try and get one of those conspiracy, xenographed, arcane adaptation things. Then you're going to want to tutor for the harmless offering of the Seed True or whatever it is, right? So there's a couple of things. You will draw some stuff too, so keep it in mind. It's going to be fun. You're going to have a good time, and like I said, hopefully we can just impress our opponents enough that they're not going to be so mad that we stole all of their stuff.
Yeah, if you're able to get through all that, I think kudos to you.
You worked hard enough, right?
Were there any surprises or discovery
cards? Yes. Another suggestion from Discord was Alpha Status, which is a good alternate win con sort of, if we can't do the Karthus thing a lot, because Alpha Status is 200 green for just an aura that says enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other creature in play that shares a type with it. So if we can make all of our opponent's stuff dragons, and if most of our stuff is dragons just by nature of what we have in our deck, that's going to be a lot. So you throw this on like an Ojutai and then you attack with it, and it's got like +20 or something, and you're tapping down the flyer they have and you're smashing them for that much. Like, that's pretty sweet. So
that's pretty sweet.
And not to mention, if it does, get to land on Karthus, and just now he's like a 22, 20, whatever, right? Like, he can be massive too. At 27. Yeah, sure. We'll take it.
Yeah, so, sure.
Cool dish.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, shout outs to the Discord. There was so many people in there helping out. Like, it was over a span of a couple of days. So I just want to give shout outs to the gang. You know who you are. You in there, and with just so many great suggestions. And like always, there's always some splinter group who creates like a whole separate, like, different deck with like a different aim that still is from the same like seed. Like, it's still from the same idea of the 5-color Karthus, but then it just goes off and does some different things, and it's just, I love it so much. So if you haven't jumped in on the Discord, or even if you're late to, like, I know some people will show up like after I've like built the deck already, or maybe even after we've recorded, and just say like, oh, hey, do you guys include this? Pop in there and take a look, because you might get some really cool deck ideas yourself, right? Like, that's actually one of the awesome things about it.
Yeah.
So thanks to everyone. Well, we've done our surprise and discoveries, and we've also talked about the Discord helper. So I believe that it's time for the budget report. What? A budget report intro?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And where did that come from?
After Effects.
But who made it?
I made it.
You made it. Yes, you did.
One of my quarantine hobbies has been teaching myself After Effects.
Really great job. I love it. It's exactly what I think you and I were picturing in our heads every time we went beep, 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 beep,
yes.
beep, 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 beep.
Oh, yes. It was very easy to design.
So thanks for that. It only took us 257 episodes to figure that out.
And a global quarantine.
So yeah, really great stuff. Thank you for that, Sean. And apologies to people who are going to miss that beep, 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 beep. But I do believe that might be retired.
If you twist our arms, maybe we'll get some audio of it and slip it into the intro.
That's a fun idea. Let's get the best of both worlds rocking here.
Yeah.
Okay, so budget-wise, this one is like in the mid-range, I would say. A little more expensive than some of the other ones we've done recently. But the low is like 76. Usually you can get the lowdown more than that, but...
Usually you can get the lowdown.
Market price on TCG is like 135-ish. But, as there are usually, there's a couple of good ways to make a few meaningful cuts. The most expensive card in the deck is Chromatic Lantern, as I mentioned earlier. It's up to $8 now.
It's just perfect.
it's so good, right? And like,
Yeah.
here's my thing. So, I help me with this because I don't know. So, as a budget player, we like the land base is the most important thing when we're trying to go 5 colors. Like, you want to have the right lands for it. But when you're on that budget, the lands are the most expensive part. So it's so hard. Fetches and shocks and original duels, if all these things are not available to us necessarily. So we're working with a lot of different stuff here. So cards like Chromatic Lantern become, I think, that much more important. So I'm like, even as a budget player, at $8, I'm still kind of willing to use that on a card like this. And of course, Staple Binder or whatever it is, if you have a system like that, I really hope you've got a Chromatic Lantern in there for these types of decks, right? But what do you think? $8? Do you think that's worth it in a deck like this?
Oh, I can't answer this question without just addressing larger budgetary issues with our game. I think they reprint this from time to time. It goes down to like $3 or $4. It always comes back to here around 10, under 10. If you can grab one, grab one. If you have one, keep it. Don't get any more. Just use some sort of staple system. Just move it from deck to deck as you play, even if most of your decks want it. I don't think, if you don't own one, it's worth an $8 investment, but let it work for all your decks.
Yeah.
Don't buy 10 of them.
Yeah, I agree. And if you are the type of person who does want to have one for however many decks you have that want this card, then yeah, make sure that when they reprint it, you're one of those people grabbing up the $4 copies of it, or $5 copies, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because they don't stay very low for very long.
No.
So yeah, snap them up. So for the purposes of this, I think that it is worth having this card in there because it does just perfectly fix. And this is a greedy deck. That's the other thing. Like, this isn't something that's like, we made sure to be low on the mana pips. It's like, no. We're working with like double white, double blue, Jund. It's crazy. So you do need this effect, right? I will say it is tough because like, what's it? Joiner Adept is like 50 cents, $1 or something like that. Like, that card, which does the same thing, just costs green to do it, is nowhere near the price of this. But anyways, what's the next one here?
Mystic Remora. Any single mana card that can do a lot is going to get more expensive. This is no exception. Single blue for an enchantment. It's got cumulative upkeep of 1 generic. So every turn that goes around, you got to pay 1 additional during your upkeep, 2 the next turn, 3 the next turn. But you won't need to keep it around for long, because whenever an opponent plays a non-creature spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 4. That's a hefty tax.
It's a big
Early
tax.
in the game, if you drop this on turn 1, I mean, you're kind of locked out from doing anything because you're going to be developing your mana as you're paying your upkeep, but your opponents are also going to be developing by playing non-creature spells, ramp spells, artifacts, mana rocks, that sort of thing. So, you decide, like, do you want to take 2 turns off and draw 4 cards? That seems fair.
It's pretty fair. And as we know, this is a pretty good card, and really I just kind of threw it in because single blue is just something that is just easier to cast. But really, this is the placeholder of any generic draw spell, anything that's good with drawing. There's some green spells that are excellent in this deck, like the ones that count for power, because we have some big powered creatures. So maybe just replace this with that. Even Shamanic Revelation might be fine to play in this deck, which is my favorite draw spell as of late. You don't need to spend $650 on Mystic Remora. Heads up. I didn't even know it was this much. That's why I put it in the deck, and I was like, oh, budget report. Well, at least we'll get to talk about the fact that it's $650.
Yeah.
And here's a real surprise, even though I think this did pop up on a previous budget report recently, but Deadeye Navigator is $650. What? I mean, this is a people used to scream and cry for this card to be banned. People were really out to get Deadeye Navigator banned.
Yeah.
You don't hear too much about that anymore these days. Hey, like I don't. Like
Did,
whenever it
did
comes
people
up.
just stop running it more because like decks got even more powerful? Is this
I
just
don't
a
know.
bad card now? I don't know.
I don't think it's
I mean,
bad, but I don't
no.
know. I don't know what happened with it. But it's 4 and 2 blue for the 5/5 Soul Bonder. If you don't know this one, as long as Deadeye Navigator is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has 1 and a blue. Exile this creature, then return it to the battlefield under your control. And again, if you've never played with Deadeye Navigator or against it, you know that this means that both Deadeye Navigator and the creature, Karthus in this case, probably, it's very difficult to remove them. You try to target either of them with a removal spell, and then they pay the 1 and a blue and they blink it, and then you need another removal spell.
Yeah.
Always know though that if a person does have Deadeye Navigator out and they do it just they use the 1 and a blue to do the blinking thing that they want to do. Whenever either one of them comes back in, there is the soul bond trigger goes on the stack. So if you have instant speed removal, as long as you can just wait for them to do it themselves, because I think people pretty rarely run this for just straight protection. Like mostly people will run this to do something like we're trying to do, which is like blink it and get an ETB effect and all that kind of stuff. So if you've got the patience for it, you can wait until that either of them re-enters, the soul bond triggers on the stack, and then in response to that, you destroy Deadeye Navigator. Because nothing is soul bonded at that point, none of them have the ability. So that's the trick. Maybe people just figured out that trick, because I remember like that wasn't talked about a lot, and then all of a sudden it was, and now all of a sudden I don't see people playing this card that much anymore. But somehow it's still 650.
Do you think decks as a whole just got leaner and meaner, and 6
It's
mana
possible.
with 2 extras are just too much?
Yeah, you know what? That's probably the more likely thing that happened. Commander just got a bunch more powerful cards printed for it, and Deadeye Navigator got kind of pushed out a little bit.
It happens.
Well, in these types of decks, it is still a very, very good card. So 650, I mean, it's up to you. Do you have enough blink in there? If you do, yeah, you can run something else for 650. I'd consider maybe upping your 5-color mana base, or perhaps better artifacts, better mana artifacts, or something like that. Right? Some of the signets are pretty pricey these days, so.
It doesn't stop.
I know.
It doesn't stop.
It never stops. Okay, let's talk about our favorite cards here.
Okay.
Real quick to close this one out. Mine is a weird one. Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts, I put in this deck. 5 white, black. This is another 7 mana spell. 4/4, protection from creatures, legendary human advisor. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, destroy that creature. Put a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. I picked this because there's enough ramp in this deck that running a 7 mana 2-color spell is actually really not hard. And she is one of these things where it's like no one's going to attack you ever with this. So you're going to keep your opponent's board of creatures like up and ready and in the defense mode. And that's great, because then when we get that means we get even more stuff with Karthus.
Yeah.
Right? So that's fun. They're not going to be able to kill you. That's fun. So it all kind of works. This is just a fun card. You feel very powerful when you're swinging with Teysa, and she has pro creatures, and just getting in there. Especially if you can throw that alpha authority on her and name dragons. Like, it's really great.
Yeah.
What about you?
My favorite card is, do you like free spells, Andy?
I sure do.
I love free spells. How about Wilderness Reclamation? It's 3 and a green. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, untap all lands you control. You probably have 4 lands out when you cast this, so you're going to untap it. So you come out of your turn with the same amount of available mana as you went into your turn, probably even more. So if you play any standard, you know that this card
is banned.
It just got banned, but it's very powerful, and it's one of my faves for it.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good in this deck. Like we have a surprising amount of instant speed stuff to do, so it actually becomes pretty nice.
You get this with Deadeye Navigator, and then your opponents will have a hard time dealing with anything, because you'll always have the mana to activate it.
Yep. If they know about the soul bond trick, though, keep that in mind.
Yes.
Well, there you have it. This is our pretty convoluted but pretty fun deck, also, where we try and steal everything. You can check this link. You can check this deck out via our TCG link, and just see the craziness in this deck, because there's a lot of weird, wild stuff in there. We have more of the Fate Reforged dragons too. Like a Tark is in here, so it gives everything double strike and everything. So it's gets pretty wild. It's a fun one. More for you. I'd say, you know what, for your more casual nights. I'll tell you that. You don't want the super aggressive, super sleek competitive decks coming at you when you're playing this one. You're gonna need some time. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But super fun. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like I said, you can check out this deck list on TCG. Just follow our affiliate link. And if you follow that link, if you purchase any cards, whether it's from that deck or anywhere else on the site after that point, we get a little slice of that, so that helps support us. Also, check out, of course, Wizard Tower, wizardtower.com. If you're within Canada, you order your singles there, and you can get a little percentage off of there if you use our coupon code. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and we will all see you all next week. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCG Player affiliate link below.
That helps us out too, and for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.